Parakímenos. The present perfect tense. Parakímenos. The present perfect tense in Greek and English is used to talk about things that we've done or experienced during a period which is not yet finished. Now, that can be a little confusing, so let's take a look at the examples. I have taken my vitamin today. Today is an unfinished period, so we can use the present perfect. We have had 2 meetings so far this week. This week is not finished, so we can use have had. We can't use the present perfect for a completed term. For example, I have watched the news yesterday. You can't say that because yesterday is complete. In that case, we would just say, I watched the news yesterday. And if you look at the next one, I have visited Greece in 2005, also doesn't work in English. You would have to say, I visited, because 2005 is finished. So we use the present perfect, we build the present perfect by using the verb have plus a type of word called a participle. So the present perfect looks like this: have done, have seen, have eaten, have drunk, have tried. Fortunately, Greek is going to use the same pattern. Now, this is one of the things that has changed from ancient Greek, which is ancient and modern Greek are actually not all that different, but this is one thing that is significantly different. So we have the similar formula. We use echo, which is I have, and a participle ending in epsilon iota, and it'll never change. Echo kani, I have done. Echo di, I have seen. Echo phai, I have eaten. Έχεις πει, you have drunk. So the only part of the verb that's actually conjugated is the first word. Έχω, έχεις, έχει, έχουμε, έχετε, έχουν. The second part will never change. So let's take a look at a little table that might help us review how we've built verbs so far. We have 4 columns here. In the first column, we have our present tense, grafo. And grafo is either I write or I am writing. Because in Greek, it doesn't matter if we're talking about the ing or the non-ing form. They're the same in the present tense, grafo. Then when we move into the future tense, we see this highlighted red letter, the psi. And that's the consonant change that we have to make. So tha grapso is I will write. We've added the psi and we've added the tha. Then when we go back to the simple past, we keep that graps, okay, and it becomes egrapsa. And we've talked about the past tense in another lesson. And then for the present perfect, we add echo. We still have graps and our epsilon iota ending, which will never change. And this is how we say I have written, echo grapsi. If we want to say you have written, we would say έχεις γράψει, and so on. Let's look at the next one below. Διαβάζω, I read or I am reading. It's also I study or I am studying. Well, when we go into the second part, the second form of the verb, we're going to change that zeta to a sigma. Okay, and we'll get θα διαβάσω. We'll also use na here, να διαβάσω, for like to read. Θέλω να διαβάσω, I want to read. Πρέπει να διαβάσω, it is necessary that I read. And then we go into our simple past, which we actually call the aorist. Διάβασα, we have our new ending there, the alpha, and the epsilon augment in the beginning, which you can see here is optional because it has no oxia, it's not accented. And finally, I have read or I have studied, echo the avasi. And again, you can see we've kept the avas for the last three forms. Look at the bottom, and you'll see the word peso. Well, peso is I play. Okay, and now to move into that second part, we know from when we studied the future tense, we have to modify the last consonant sound before the verb ending, before the omega. Well, the last consonant sound here is a zeta, so peso has to change, and it'll become pexo. Now we're ready to make this a future form. Put this in the future tense. Tha pexo, I will play. Tha pexis, you will play, and so on. To move it into the past, we're going to keep that pex and move that over, and we're just going to add the little Lego blocks that we need to make this I played. It'll be epexa. Okay, and we're going to keep that pex again. The oxia will be different, but we're going to keep that pex again to come up with I have played. Echo pexi. We have echo, we have our pex, our stem, and that epsilon iota, which is never going to change. Now let's take a look at a couple more examples. Well, here we have the avazo again, which is I'm reading or I'm studying, or I read or I study. And we have our future stem, the avaz, has to be changed to the avas. And we get our past ending, vyavasa. And then to say I have read or I have studied, we're going to keep that vyavas, add echo, and our new ending, echo vyavasi. I have read, I have studied. Let's look at another example. Chorevo. Although there are many different types of verbs, many different types of stems, all of these that end in epsilon, ypsilon, omega, all of these evo verbs are going to follow the same pattern. Now that's a good thing for us because there's less memorization involved, and there are hundreds of these. Chorevo, to go into the second form. Now remember we said we have to change the last consonant sound, not the last consonant before the omega. That's the ro. We're going to change the last consonant sound, chorevo. So even though we have an epsilon, ypsilon there, two vowels, they're actually producing a consonant sound. So think of that ypsilon almost like a V, not a U, but a V. Chorevo, in any case, in all of the other evo words, is going to change to a psi, chorepso. So tha chorepso is I will dance. Now we've got choreps. Okay, so chorepsa is I danced. And finally, echo chorepsi. We've inserted echo, we still have choreps, and we've got our epsilon iota ending. Okay, let's move on to another one. Perpatao. Now you might remember this from another lesson here. Words that end in ao, verbs that end in ao, are actually contract verbs. So that alpha and omega got mushed together. And they made this omega, this super omega, with that mark above it. That's called a circumflex or a perispomenon. In Greek, it's called a perispomeni. And that represents a vowel that has been gobbled up by the omega. Omega is a very strong vowel. And there are lots of these. Colibao, tragudao, kratao, kelaidao, patao, and lots more. And these are all going to conjugate the same way. Well, perpatao is going to take on future form also. And we're going to add is to it. So perpatao or perpato becomes perpatiso. Tha perpatiso, I will walk. Or tha perpato. Tha perpatiso, I'm sorry. Okay, next we go into our past form, perpatisa. And then I have walked is going to use that perpatis or perpatis because the oxia is going to go back to where it was earlier. Echo perpatisi. I have walked. All right, now let's look at an irregular one. And these are important because some of the most common verbs in Greek are irregular. There are so many of them. There might be more irregular than regular ones. We have vlepo, which is I see. And here's where it becomes irregular. Vlepo is going to become tho. So tha is I'll see. Thavis, you will see. Thadume, we will see. And from here on out, we'll see this delta as part of the stem. We get ida for I saw, and there's a whole interesting story about this word. And echo vi, which is I have seen. Delta is actually the only part of the stem that we have of this verb. We attach our epsilon iota to it, and of course we use echo, I have, and we come up with the present perfect of this verb. Telos.